Billionaire's shocking response to little girl's tearful plea. Haircut reveals dark family secret. On a bright Saturday morning, the world watched in horror as a tiny, tear-streaked girl faced the billionaire, her voice small but tremulous. Words spilled from her lips like a desperate melody. "Please help my family. We need you." As her plea hung heavy in the air, the crowd around them gasped in disbelief. A snip of hair, just a slip of scissors, unraveled a mystery hidden behind layers of wealth and deception. It was only a haircut, but to those present, it felt like exposing a darkly shimmering secret buried beneath riches and privilege. Jasmine, the girl, had golden curls that danced in the sunlight, and with each snip, it seemed like she was shedding more than just hair. The anticipation was electric. Onlookers held their breaths, feeling the weight of her urgency, wondering what would come next. A hushed silence enveloped them, throbbing with unspoken questions. What could a wealthy man possibly know about a little girl's troubles? His piercing blue eyes, carved by years of calculating business deals, softened for just a moment. Yet, something more was at play here. There was a heavy weight on his shoulders, and it felt like he was battling a storm inside, clouding the connection that should have been formed with this innocent child. Then came the strange twist. Just as Jasmine's golden locks fell, the billionaire pulled away, his expression contorting in a way few had ever seen. The crowd whispered in shock. "Is he crying?" someone exclaimed, disbelief rippling through the onlookers like a tidal wave. He turned, storming off, leaving behind a whispered promise of help that felt as fleeting as Jasmine's fallen hair. The air crackled with tension and intrigue. What had just happened? Why did he react that way? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tension didn't dissolve, it thickened. Jasmine stood there, hair strewn on the ground, gazing after him with wide, sorrowful eyes. People whispered, pointing fingers, and sharp intakes pierced the air. "Did you see that?" a woman said with disbelief. Others murmured stolen glances, scanning the crowd for answers. But only silence met them. As the billionaire retreated, a heaviness settled over every soul present. What could link a billionaire and a little girl? What were the secrets hidden beneath the surface of both their lives? Jasmine blinked back tears, clenching her tiny fists. With the lingering gaze of the crowd upon her, she had no idea what had just unfolded was only the beginning. As she turned, a glint caught her eye right there. Glimmering beneath the fallen locks of golden hair lay a small, silver locket. What could it mean? With shaking hands, she reached for it, unaware that her action would set off a chain reaction that would unravel every mystery that had ever tied her family to this enigmatic billionaire. What was inside? What dark family secret was waiting to be uncovered? As Jasmine gingerly picked up the locket, a shiver raced down her spine. It felt astonishingly warm against her palm, almost like a beating heart. The crowd seemed to close in around her, their whispers turning into a cacophony of speculation and intrigue. "What's that?" a voice broke through, pulling everyone's attention back to the unfolding scene. With a trembling breath, Jasmine turned the locket over in her hands. It was intricately designed, shimmering in the sunlight, yet it felt out of place among the scattered remnants of her golden hair. Instinct urged her to open it, to see what secret lay inside. But fear gripped her. What if it held something terrible? "Jasmine, honey, are you okay?" Her mother's voice emerged desperately from the throng, pulling her back to reality. The warmth of her hand suddenly felt reassuring. "Mom," she cried, clutching the locket tighter. The joy of feeling her mother's presence battled with a sense of dread that rushed through her veins. She could hear the murmurs growing louder again. Glancing around, She noticed the billionaire still lingering in the distance. He was focused on her, and not on the crowd, a ghost-like figure turned statue. What was he thinking? Just as he began moving toward her, time felt like it warped. People stepped aside, their faces a mixture of excitement and confusion, creating an aisle between them. Jasmine's heart raced. She looked down at the locket, then back up. She felt as if fate had nudged them both, intertwining their destinies in a way neither could yet understand. "Sweetheart, come here," her mother urged, reaching for her.
"Wait."
"Mom, look," Jasmine shouted, her voice fighting to be heard. She held the locket out, the door to her family's secret swinging dangerously open. It was underneath the hair. But before anyone could react, the billionaire stepped forward, his intense gaze locked on the locket. The tension hit a breaking point. "Where did you find that?" he demanded, his voice low and urgent. The crowd fell to a hush again, all eyes now latched onto this unexpected exchange. Jasmine felt her mother's grip tighten as she struggled to process the man's sudden shift. It was no longer just Jasmine's plea for help. It was a collision of worlds that seemed destined to collide. "I found it right here," Jasmine stammered, glancing between her mother and the man before her, confused and afraid. His jaw tightened as if he was fighting against currents from his past. "It belongs to me, or rather, it belonged to someone I once loved deeply," he said, an edge of pain leaking through his stern demeanor. Jasmine's heart pounded louder. "What do you mean? Who? Why is it so important?" But the crowd hovered in suspense, eager for the next revelation. The billionaire's expression morphed, shadows crossing his face as emotion flickered in his eyes. "You shouldn't have found this. Not like this," he muttered, looking as if he were staring into a distance only he could see. Questions buzzed above the charged air, thick with possibilities. A knot of fear and anticipation knotted tighter in Jasmine's chest. She had stepped through a doorway into something deeper than she could comprehend, something that could change everything for her family. As the crowd began murmuring again, confusion hanging heavy, the billionaire reached out, his fingertips brushing the locket. "Please, you don't know what this means or what it could lead to," he breathed, his voice trembling. With a sudden wave of determination, Jasmine stared him down. "What do you know? What do you want from me?" But their moment was shattered as a scream echoed from the back of the crowd, drawing everyone's attention in alarm. Someone had collapsed, panic rippling like a storm. Jasmine's heart dropped. What had she stumbled into? What if this was just the beginning of something far darker than she dared imagine? As sirens blared in the distance, she clutched the locket tighter, wondering if she had just unlocked more than just a family secret. What would happen next? What connection lay between the girl who made a plea for help and a billionaire with a past? Who had this locket truly belong to, and would they ever find out the truth? The chaos surged through the narrow street like a living entity, the screams still echoing in Jasmine's ears. She felt as if she were caught in a web, every thread pulling her deeper into a mystery she hadn't asked to be part of. The crowd parted hastily as people rushed to the collapsed figure, a woman, pale and trembling. Fear gripped Jasmine's heart as she watched paramedics shove their way through, panic twisting their expressions. Yet even amidst the swirling worry, Jasmine's focus remained jaggedly fixed on the billionaire. His eyes, once intense and focused, now flickered with a storm of emotions. "What do you know?" She pressed again, her voice firm, desperate to drown out the screaming and sirens. His attention shifted between the chaos and the locket. He exhaled sharply, lost somewhere between the past and present. "That locket, it's tied to so much. To a love lost and a life marked by tragedy." "What do you mean?" Jasmine whispered, unwilling to break their shared connection, even as worry rippled across her mother's face behind her. Before he could answer, someone in the crowd yelled, "Is she okay? Call for help." Jasmine's heart raced with every shout. The scene shifted, spiraling into an uncontrollable panic around her, turning the atmosphere into a thick haze of uncertainty. The billionaire stepped closer. "Listen to me," he urged, lowering his voice, but Jasmine's skin prickled, goosebumps rising. You need to keep that locket safe. It's not just a trinket, it holds everything I've lost. Lost? Jasmine echoed, frustration tinged with fear. What does that mean for me? Your world and mine are intertwined in ways you cannot yet understand, he insisted, desperation threading through his voice. At that moment, a paramedic pulled the woman onto a stretcher, and Jasmine felt her gut twist. What had she walked into? The convergence of her simple day was now a swirling tempest infused with dread. Without thinking, Jasmine turned and ran toward her mother, the locket still gripped tightly in her hand. "Mom, we need to leave," she shouted, urgency fueling her movements, breaking through the fog of confusion that enveloped them. But her mother stayed rooted, eyes wide as she caught sight of the woman being carried away. "Jasmine, wait, Mom." The locket. Her shout cut harshly through the chaos. "Something isn't right. We have to get home." As if summoned by her words, the billionaire moved closer, his eyes now darkened with an insistent urgency.
"No."
"You can't leave." Jasmine turned back, panic surging.
"Why?"
"Why can't we leave?" Because this will change everything for you." "It's not over," he shot back, his resolve faltering under the weight of unshed emotions. The sirens shrieked louder, drowning out the pounding in her ears. Tension pooled between them, an electric pulse of secrets, pain, and unspoken truths. Just then, the ground shook slightly underfoot, a tremor that no one would acknowledge, but felt like an impending omen. Jasmine's heart raced. She could feel it, a premonition swirling, growing, as if the universe was warning her she was closer to something extraordinary. In that charged moment, a figure broke free from the crowd, aiming directly for Jasmine. Panic-stricken eyes met hers, reflecting terror that sent a shard of ice down Jasmine's spine. "Jasmine!" The woman gasped, breathless and wide-eyed. Before either she or the billionaire could process it, the woman hurled herself at Jasmine, clutching her arms tight. "You must listen to me. The locket, it's more dangerous than you know." Shock froze Jasmine in place, her mind racing. What threat loomed just beyond the borders of understanding? As the sirens closed in, she felt the weight of the locket grow heavier in her palm, the warmth now a warning, screaming for her to uncover the truth before it was too late. What secrets lay beneath the surface? What darkness had she unwittingly awakened? Jasmine's heart pounded in her chest as the woman's frantic grip tightened around her arms. The world seemed to narrow, every swirl of sound fading into a muted background of chaos. She stared into terrified eyes that seemed to scream warnings she couldn't hear. "What do you mean? What danger?" Jasmine finally managed to choke out, her voice trembling. The woman peered over her shoulder as if expecting something sinister to leap from the shadows. "They'll come for you. You're a target now." "Target for what?" Jasmine's instinct for self-preservation kicked in, pushing her to take a half step back. But the woman's grip was unyielding. "The locket, it's not just a necklace. It's a key, the entryway to everything they want." At that moment, the billionaire moved closer, his face grim. "Get away from her," he commanded, stepping into the fray with surprising authority.
"No."
The woman pleaded, her voice frantic. "You don't understand. The legacy of the locket is cursed. It holds their secrets." Jasmine's confusion doubled. A curse? This felt like some cheap movie plot playing out in real life. Yet there was an urgency in her gut, an instinct that told her every word mattered. The billionaire's grasp was firm now. "You need to listen to me, Jasmine. We need to get you to safety." Before she could respond, there was a loud crash, as if the sky itself had fallen, sending all heads turning towards the source of the sound. A nearby shop window shattered, glass raining down like lethal raindrops. The crowd let out a collective gasp. Jasmine's breath hitched. "What is happening?" "Stay close," the billionaire urged, gritting his teeth. He tucked her away from the chaos, while her mother remained rooted in shock, eyes locked on the pandemonium unfolding. "I can't leave her," Jasmine shouted desperately, torn between wanting to flee but needing to protect her mother. But the billionaire's eyes were dark now with determination.
She'll be all right.
Trust me. Jasmine felt her heart dip. Could she trust him? The weight of the locket in her palm felt almost alive, pulsating as if it were entangled in the very fabric of the events spiraling around them. Maybe it was the key to understanding the mayhem. There's someone behind you. The woman screamed suddenly, ice in her voice. Jasmine's neck whipped around just as a shadow loomed over her, tall and looming. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of a figure, clad in black, moving swiftly through the crowd, an ominous presence that sent chills racing down her spine.
Run.
Fear surged, and Jasmine's instincts kicked in. She snatched her mother's hand, pulling at her, desperation fueling her motions. They're coming. They'll never stop. The woman cried, her eyes wide as she backed away from the approaching threat. In that moment of chaos, the billionaire turned, blocking their path. Jasmine, listen. You can't be reckless. That locket. His voice trailed off, a sudden flicker of vulnerability passing over his features, but before she could grasp it, he turned back, assessing the intruder. The figure moved closer, and with each step, Jasmine felt the world dim around her, drawing her into a terrifying singularity of dread. She needed answers. She needed a way out, but the locket was now caught in the crossfire of her fate, pulsing with an urgency she couldn't understand. Jasmine, her mother's strangled voice broke through the tension, pulling her focus just as the shadowy figure lunged. Instinctively, Jasmine tightened her grip on the locket, a primal urge overcoming her. Just before the figure reached her, its face finally emerged from the fog, beautiful, yet filled with an unsettling darkness. I've come to reclaim what's mine. What did that even mean? Jasmine's heart raced. A confrontation had erupted, her life turning upside down in a blur of wild emotions, and as those eyes locked onto hers, she knew there was no turning back. What had she awakened with that simple artifact? What darkness was looming just around the corner? Panic surged through Jasmine's veins, a wild river of adrenaline propelling her to move. As the shadow lunged, she pushed her mother behind her, instinctively positioning herself as a shield. This couldn't be happening. The figure froze, its expression shifting from hunger to confusion. You don't even realize what you're a part of, it hissed, venom dripping from each syllable. Jasmine could barely catch her breath. What are you talking about? She shouted, fierce determination clashing with her alarm. Just stay away from us. The billionaire stepped closer, a menacing silhouette against the dimming light. Enough games, he barked, a flash of fire igniting in his eyes. If you want her, you'll have to go through me. The figure laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers cascading down everyone's spines. You think you can protect her? Do you even know what's at stake? It glanced sideways, gauging the crowd's terrified expressions. This is bigger than you could ever imagine. Jasmine felt the world tilt. Protect her? She had so little power in this moment. The locket, warm in her palm, felt like a beacon, an unsettling comfort as chaos unfolded around her. Jasmine. Her mother squeezed her hand tightly, wide-eyed and terrified, but Jasmine could see the resolve hardening within her. Listen to him. We can't let this happen. We need to run. But where would they go? In her mind, visions flashed of dark corners and whispered secrets lurking behind every door, making her heart race even faster. We can't abandon him. Jasmine shouted back, still processing the icy fear creeping up her spine. The locket, it's all about the locket, her mother said, gripping Jasmine's arm, urgency spilling into her voice. It connects to something ancient, something that shouldn't be unleashed. It's no simple trinket. The woman in the crowd screamed, fear and certainty swirling together in her eyes. It's a doorway. It can return them, whoever them truly are. Are you insane? That came from a man standing nearby. The legends are just stories. But Jasmine felt strange. The whispers, the stories, they often felt real? Hadn't she heard echoes of the past in the shadows of their own home? Just thinking about the locket sent tingles through her fingers as it seemed to vibrate in response to her emotions. The figure stepped forward, eyes narrowing, the beautiful chaos morphing into something more sinister. No one is safe as long as she has it. And just like that, a realization struck Jasmine like a thunderclap. The power of the locket didn't just attract danger, it called for it.
I don't want this.
She yelled, her voice laced with panic. Then you must make a choice. The dark figure insisted, lunging toward her again. The billionaire shifted his stance, blocking her yet again. You will not touch her, he bellowed, pushing back against the force of the encroaching darkness. You're out of your depth, the figure hissed, its voice a deadly whisper. You think you can save her from her own destiny? With each second, Jasmine felt the clock ticking louder. She was trapped in a game she didn't even understand. This wasn't just a fight. It was a reckoning. But all Jasmine wanted was to protect her family. Then the lights flickered above, plunging the street into darkness. A collective gasp rose from the crowd, the fear palpable as panic morphed into chaos. Then a shriek pierced the air, cutting through the tension like a knife. And it wasn't just fear, it was something much worse. What had they awakened? And how far would it go to reclaim what was deemed lost?
Hold on.
The billionaire's voice cut through the confusion, but would it be enough? Would they find a way to escape this nightmare before the locket unleashed something irrevocable? As the darkness deepened, Jasmine realized this was just the beginning. An uncertain future lay ahead, and the true test was yet to come. Jasmine's heart hammered in her chest as the shriek echoed in her ears. It wasn't just a cry. It was a warning, a promise that unspeakable horrors were coming.
Mom.
What do we do? Her voice wavered, a mix of desperation and fear. The crowd around them backed away, eyes wide, faces pale as shadows danced in the night. Stay close, her mother commanded, her grip tightening around Jasmine's hand. They pressed against the billionaire, who stood like a wall, resolute yet visibly shaken.
Can you fight it?
Jasmine asked, torn between belief and doubt as the figure hovered closer, tendrils of darkness curling in the air. It's not about fighting. It's about understanding what we're dealing with, the billionaire replied, his voice steady, but laced with urgency. We need to keep that locket safe. If it truly is a doorway, it must not be opened. Then what do we do? Her stomach churned. Every second an eternity. The figure laughed again, the sound icy and sharp. You think you can hold on to it? It belongs to the past that has come to reclaim what is rightfully theirs. At that moment, the lights flickered back on, revealing 100 pairs of fear-stricken eyes, all glued to the strange spectacle unfolding. Faces mixed with awe and terror. The billionaire stepped forward, shifting his focus back to Jasmine. I'll protect you, but you need to trust me. You have that power inside you. Jasmine looked at him, then to her mother, who nodded subtly, conveying a trust Jasmine wasn't sure she felt. The locket pulsed in her palm, begging for release, calling to her like an old friend with a dark secret. Why me? She took a shaky breath. Why is it tied to me? Because the bloodline carries strength, the figure answered, voice silky yet menacing. You are the vessel, the bond is formed through you. Break it and everything crumbles. Shut up, Jasmine yelled, clamping her hands over her ears as if that could drown out the chilly realization surfacing within her. But the figure didn't relent. Do you think the world will let that locket rest in naive hands? Your power is a beacon. They are coming for you. Who is coming? Her mother gasped, fear creeping back into her voice.
Hold on,
the billionaire warned, sensing the tension escalating like a storm brewing in the sky. The air thickened as shadows morphed into figures, emerging from the darkened edges of the street. They were distinct, pale and cold, with eyes empty yet full of rage. Jasmine's breath hitched. What are they? Souls unbound, the figure hissed, reveling in their confusion. Those that should never have been lost, and yet they come for the locket and its keeper. As the throng of pale figures stepped forward, Jasmine was overcome with an overwhelming sense of dread.
Mom.
What if the locket is their only way back? They want to reclaim anything without a fight. The billionaire pulled in closer, shoulders raised as if preparing for an epic duel. "We won't let them." And suddenly, Jasmine was tossed into the maelstrom of choice. Between the pounding of her heart and the beckoning of the locket, a decision needed to be made, but what if choosing meant losing everything? Then came a sudden flash of memory, a voice from long ago. "There's always a choice, my dear." It struck her like a bolt of lightning. A choice. Before she could ponder further, the advancing figures lunged forward, their restless whispers filling the air. Jasmine stared at the locket, feeling its warmth seep deeper into her skin.
"Now,"
the billionaire shouted, raising an arm. "Get ready." Jasmine felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her, the eyes of both the living and the lost bearing down as she stood at the precipice of an unimaginable choice. Would she dare to face the truths hidden within? As screams erupted and a fight ensued, Jasmine realized the scope of what lay ahead. There was no turning back now. With fate tipping precariously on a knife's edge, would she be the key to their salvation, or the catalyst of their doom? Darkness loomed, and answers awaited beyond the veil, beckoning her to step through. The air crackled with tension, electric with fear as the figures broke free from the shadows. They swarmed like a storm crashing against the shore, ethereal and hungry for what Jasmine held. Her thoughts blurred, the instinct to flee battling with the compulsion to protect the locket. The billionaire stood firm, his presence a calming weight against the chaos around them. "Jasmine," he shouted, breaking through her turmoil. "Now is the time to make your choice. Let the darkness show you what it needs." Jasmine's heart raced. What could it mean to give the darkness what it desired? Would she be betraying herself? But the locket pulsed insistently, and she felt its pull deep within her bones, revealing whispered secrets that felt like long-lost dreams. "Focus on what you truly want," the billionaire urged, his eyes locking onto hers, shimmering with determination. "Remember the warmth of light, of life. Don't let fear dictate your path." With a tremor, Jasmine raised the locket, the cool metal glinting under the flickering streetlights. It felt alive, resonating with the energy around them, dark and anguished, yet strangely comforting. "Please don't take this from me." Her voice shook, wavering against the cacophony of whispers and cries that encircled them, growing more desperate by the second. The pale figures were so close now, their hollow eyes full of longing, desperation oozing from their translucent forms. "Leave her be," her mother shouted, stepping protectively in front of Jasmine, though the figures brushed against her, chilling the air. Their frigid breath swept over Jasmine, freezing her with doubt. She could feel her mother's fear radiating as palpable as her own.
"Mom,"
Jasmine cried out, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if they don't want to harm us? What if they just want to come back?" "Don't listen," her mother cried, straining against the cries of the lost souls. The billionaire's voice cut through the fear like a blade. "Jasmine, remember what you hold. It's not just a locket, it's a choice to connect, to understand, or to sever ties forever." A wave of despair washed over her. The urge to protect what she didn't truly understand clawed at her mind. Could she trust the whispers seeping into her thoughts? But then, the memory ignited again, a forgotten lesson from her grandmother. "Always listen to the stories of the past, Jasmine." Suddenly, the swirling shadows ceased, and the pale figures paused, their ethereal faces softening. They seemed more like humans now, lost and desperate, rather than monsters. Jasmine could see glimmers of their former selves, the fragments of lives stolen away. "What do you want?" Jasmine asked, her voice almost steady, full of resolve.
"Tell me."
"It is not what we want," one figure answered, their voice a ghostly echo, "but what you have lost, young keeper. We crave connection, reunion with those we loved, the warmth of life we once knew." Her heart raced again, but this time, it wasn't just fear she felt, it was a burgeoning understanding. "You're like echoes of memories," she said slowly, "trapped longing for peace, for a way to remember. Release the locket," a chorus of voices whispered. "Through you, we may once again remember what it is to be whole." Jasmine hesitated, her mind whirling. If she let go, what would happen to her? What if everything crumbled into shadows? The square vibrated with energy. The battle between light and darkness was palpable. "Make your choice, Jasmine," shouted the billionaire, tension coiling around every word. Could she sacrifice her safety for their peace? But then she remembered the choice was hers. The moment was hers to seize. Gritting her teeth, Jasmine clenched the locket tighter, feeling its pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. "What if I choose both?" she whispered, barely able to breathe, fear and courage wrestling for dominance within her. Her mother stepped back, feeling the gravity of Jasmine's decision.
No.
"You can't." Fear had crawled deeper into her mother's eyes, echoing Jasmine's own uncertainty. The shadows began to swirl again, darkness wanting to consume, to reclaim stolen souls. Jasmine's grip tightened, drowning out the fear. "If there is to be a balance, a chance for understanding, then I'll do it." And just like that, she raised the locket higher, ready for what lay beyond the veil, a choice suspended in air. The figures loomed closer, eager and daunting, their hopes hanging in the balance like shadows stretching toward the light. Would her gamble lead to salvation for the lost souls, or would it beckon horrors beyond imagination? With trembling hands, she took a breath, ready to unveil the truth that the world had kept hidden for too long. Was she brave enough to step into the unknown? The whispers crescendoed around her, the souls pleading for release, for understanding. What lay ahead waited impatiently, its dark embrace unyielding. The fight was far from over, but the choice was hers, and the answers lay waiting just beyond the locket's tempting glow. Jasmine's heart thundered as she held the locket high, suspended between realms. The world around her felt frozen, every breath caught in her throat. The air thickened, wrapping around her like a fog, dense with unresolved yearning. The pale figures leaned closer, their hollow eyes shimmering with the echoes of lost lives, their voices a choir of sorrow. "Let us in, keeper of memories. We seek not to frighten, but to be whole once more." "Please." Jasmine's voice trembled, raw with emotion. "Let me understand. What will happen if I release you?" A figure stepped forward, wisps of shadows swirling around him like smoke, revealing the outline of a man with kind eyes that sparkled with a warmth Jasmine longed to feel. "We are remnants of love, young one, fragments scattered by the force of time and grief. To release us is to invite your past to entwine with the present." The billionaire shifted, the tension in his jaw tightening. "This is dangerous, Jasmine. You don't know what can come through. You mustn't release them without knowing the full extent of what you could unleash." His voice echoed in her mind. She had to focus. The locket felt heavier, pulsating like a heartbeat, begging her to put faith in it, to trust her instincts. But could she trust these specters who sought reunion at such a cost? "What if letting you in costs something I'm not willing to pay?" she asked, her voice thick with uncertainty. The figures paused, a silence descending that felt almost sacred. "What we offer is not a burden," the man said softly. "It is a timeless connection. Together, we can mend the sorrow that has lingered all these years. Your choice can heal the fractures, but only if you truly wish it." Jasmine's thoughts teetered on a precipice of fear and hope. The figures swirled, their expressions shifting, revealing faces. She almost recognized glimpses of her ancestors, rather than terrifying entities of despair. Her grandmother, her father, longing eyes flickered in her memories, urging her to reach deeper into her own heart. Mom, Jasmine's voice cracked. "What if this is the chance to find out who we really are? The chance to meet them?" Her mother's bewilderment deepened, grappling with her instincts. "It's not worth the risk," she pleaded. Desperation dripped from her words. "What if we open something we can never close?" Jasmine felt torn, her mind a whirlwind of doubt and desire. The shadows were so close, beckoning her with promises of connection, of truth. The locket glowed brighter, imbued with her emotions, shimmering like a beacon in the dark. "Choose, but remember, the light and darkness must coexist. You cannot rush this." The billionaire's voice vibrated with urgency, cutting through Jasmine's fear. She was at the edge of something monumental, her pulse matching the locket's rhythm. The shadows encircled her, swirling like a tempest, each whisper a plea, a longing that slipped through her fingers. Were they saviors or phantoms? "I need to know my truth," Jasmine shouted, the locket trembling in her grasp as if it sensed the chaos within her. Then came a silence, a stillness that settled deeply in her bones. The ethereal forms lowered, eyes shimmering with understanding. "We will reveal who we were, but know this. In truth, you may not like what you find. Are you ready to face the shadows of the past?" Jasmine's heart thudded against her ribs. What did she truly want? A piece of her family, a connection lost to time, or the unfurling of secrets that might shatter the very foundation of how she understood her life? The words hung in the air, heavy as lead, threatening to rupture the fabric of her decision. Before she could claim her choice, a sudden gust of wind swept through the square, dark and chaotic. The shadows grasped at her, the locket vibrating fiercely. "Jasmine!" Her mother screamed, panic lacing her voice. The shadows lunged, shadows morphing into chaotic forms, each one searching for something, clawing at her resolve. Startled, Jasmine was jolted back to reality. She had opened a door, but had she prepared for what stood on the other side? As darkness swirled, pulling at their very essence, Jasmine's courage hardened. Could she fight for the truth? Could she face the consequences of her choice?
"Take my hand,"
the billionaire shouted, grounding her amidst the chaos. Just as she extended her hand, a blinding light exploded from the locket, illuminating the entire square. And then, nothing, a deafening silence. The shadows paused, quivering as the light enveloped them all. What waited in the space between worlds was about to be revealed, and Jasmine's world hung in the balance, teetering on the brink of revelation. But whatever lay ahead, one thing was clear. The truth would not come quietly. Would she be ready for the revelations that could shatter everything she knew? An unbearable stillness draped over the square, swallowed by the brilliance of the locket's light. Jasmine felt the warmth pulse through her, wrapping around her like a protective hug. The shadows ceased their chaotic movement, held captive by the glow as if it were a magical barrier. In that blinding glow, Jasmine saw faces forming her grandmother's smile, the mischievous glint in her father's eyes. They merged with the figures, softening the edges of sorrow, weaving stories of love and loss that intertwined seamlessly with memories she held deep inside. There was comfort wrapped in all that pain, and for the first time, she felt she could bridge the gap between the worlds. "Remember, Jasmine," the man with kind eyes whispered, his voice cutting through the shimmering light. "Every truth brings light but also shadows. Are you prepared to carry both?" Her breath caught in her throat as doubt clawed at her heart. What if the shadows held secrets too heavy to bear? The echoes of her mother's pleas reverberated in her mind. You don't know what can come through. Was she about to invite more than just the memories she craved? Exhaustion settled in her bones, the weight of the decision pressing down, each heartbeat echoing the turmoil within. But then, the light shimmered brighter, dancing in a whirlwind around them, impossibly beautiful. Jasmine was losing herself in its glow, the spectral figures reaching out with gnarled fingers that somehow felt warm and inviting. It was as if they understood her unvoiced fears and wanted to guide her through the abyss. With a tentative step forward, she gripped the locket tighter. "I want to know. I want to see them even if it hurts." Her voice wavered, but she couldn't ignore the raw yearning clawing at her chest. "Then let it be done," the man replied, his voice resonating with authority that calmed the chaos. The figures began to merge, their motes of light swirling together, forming a vortex that threatened to pull Jasmine in. But the force wasn't frightening, it was exhilarating, alive with the energy of the past. As the vortex enveloped her, a sensation of rising and falling took hold, akin to being swept up in a current. Memories flooded her, a carousel of laughter, the scent of her grandmother's cooking, the warmth of a hug that felt impossibly distant. Yet, With each pleasant emotion came Shadow's moments of struggle, heartache, and absence, all clawing at her mind. "Hold tight, Jasmine." The billionaire's voice broke through, grounding her like an anchor in a storm. Her resolve solidified.
She needed this.
And if she had to face the darkness, so be it. With a fierce determination, she stepped into the swirling light. The world around her blossomed into vivid colors and unimaginable sounds, a cacophony of laughter mingled with sorrow, joy woven into anguish. Suddenly, the noise morphed distorted and haunting. Screams echoed around her, building like a storm. Shadows slinked forward, morphing into shapes of desperation. Jasmine's heart raced as she recognized them, much darker, more twisted than the glimpses of her loved ones. This was the consequence of her choice. "Can you handle this?" The man's voice echoed with intensity, urging her to confront the swarm of memories straining against her mind. One shadow lunged nearer, its eyes locking with hers. It wasn't filled with malevolence. Instead, it bore the weight of a broken promise, a plea wrapped in pain. "Help us finish what was started." She stumbled back, heart hammering. What was this unfinished business? There was so much at stake, so much she didn't yet understand. "What do you want from me?" But before the shadow could respond, the light flickered, dimming and pulsating, a heartbeat slowing. Fear gripped Jasmine as she felt the grip of the otherworld tighten, a desperate bid to pull her into a darkness that buzzed with untold secrets and a history begging to be revealed. "Jasmine!" Her mother screamed again, terror etched on her face. Just as the shadows gathered, her hand clenched around the locket one last time. "I must know!" Jasmine shouted. Into the darkness, her voice a mix of fear and defiance. The locket burst forth with a dazzling explosion of light, and in that split second, she knew this was just the beginning. Would the truth unleash a healing that would change everything, or unleash horrors she couldn't contain? As the darkness roared back, shrouding the light, Jasmine faced a choice she never anticipated. Would she brave the depths of pain for the hope of comprehension? The shadows beckoned. The next moment would reveal whether her soul was ready for a reckoning. What awaited her now? The blinding light enveloped Jasmine, casting warmth against the cold grasp of the shadows. But in that instant, her heart raced with the finality of her decision. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about the legacy of her family, the secrets held tightly hidden, the mysteries she never thought she would have to confront. As she closed her eyes, she felt the locket's pulse syncing with her own heartbeat. "I'm ready," Jasmine whispered, feeling the weight of the past pressing against her chest in a suffocating embrace. The shadows shifted, swirling violently around her, yet the warmth of the light held firm, steadying her resolve. "You must face us," a voice cried out, echoing powerfully, reverberating through the darkness. Jasmine's breath caught as other voices joined, the intimate whispers of her ancestors mingling with the haunting cries from beyond. She could feel their yearning, the ache for recognition and understanding.
"Tell me,"
Jasmine shouted into the tempest. "What do you want?" A shape emerged slowly, shimmering through the storm, her grandmother, a soft smile illuminating her kind eyes. Behind her came others, familiar yet distant, and at the forefront, the shadows pulsed with emotion, a tapestry of intertwined lives, regrets, and yearning. "We want to share our stories," her grandmother's voice echoed, soothing and strong. "The locket is a bridge to your past, Jasmine. Your heart holds the key." Tension surged around the edges of Jasmine's reality, the shadows fluctuating between chaos and clarity. The questions were swirling thick and fast. "What if I can't carry your pain?" She faltered, glancing nervously at the pooling darkness. "You are stronger than you know," her grandmother urged, her sincerity shining through. "It's time to reclaim the stories that matter. Only together can we turn shadows into light." With a deep breath, Jasmine stepped forward, her determination ignited like a flare in the dark. "Then let us do this together," she declared, holding the locket high, ready to wear the past like armor. The instant her words left her lips, the light blazed through the shadows, illuminating the square in an exhilarating display. The swirl of emotions coalesced around her, stories floating like leaves caught in the wind. Images danced in and out of vision, laughter in faded photographs, tender moments stolen from time, faces she knew from echoes of her childhood, mingled with strangers she never knew, yet instinctively felt connected to. The shadows grew softer, their outlines becoming real rather than just dark. "Remember us, honor us," they chanted, swirling around Jasmine like a gentle embrace. "For in remembrance lies the power to heal." Her heart opened. Memories poured forth, enveloping her in an unbreakable bond. Jasmine was no longer just a girl caught in uncertainty. She felt the strength and weight of generations rest upon her shoulders, the collective stories woven into her veins. With each breath, she recognized the faces loved ones gone, pieces of herself she didn't fully understand until now. "Thank you," she whispered, understanding blooming in her chest. "Thank you for sharing your truths with me." The shadows began to pull back, retreating and fading into the light as acceptance swelled around her. With each story shared, a shadow recedes, her grandmother's voice soothed, fading into a gentle memory. "You carry our love, our past, let it guide you forward." The brilliance of the locket fused with Jasmine's own light, pulsing unity through her. She felt the warmth of the connection, the fire behind each shadow transforming into a whisper of hope. As the final strands of darkness dispersed, the square illuminated again, casting her, and the billionaire who stood vigilant beside her, in a warm glow. "You did it," he breathed, relief washing over his features. "You faced them and emerged." Jasmine turned, tears in her eyes not just from sadness, but from the joy of knowing she had bridged something profound. "It was never just about me. It was about everyone," she managed through a relieved smile. "I understand now, we need stories to keep us whole." Around them, those who had witnessed the magic began to stir. They murmured in awe, the changes within them palpable. The little girl's simple plea had reshaped not just her own destiny, but all of theirs. Together, they formed a community bound by shared history and recognition of the past. The billionaire clasped her shoulder gently, his shadows of doubt replaced by gratitude. "You've taught me more than you know, Jasmine. Together, we can build something beautiful from all this." In that moment, with the sun setting against the horizon, Jasmine understood they had started a new chapter not just for her family, but for the community that held their stories too. The locket, once a weight, now felt like a treasure, a legacy waiting to unfold. "Let us make sure no one forgets," Jasmine insisted, her entire being pulsing with resolve. "This is just the beginning." They clasped hands, eyes sparkling with the thrill of possibility. And as they stepped forward into a new dawn, the shadows fully vanished, leaving only the light to guide them onward. Now it's time for you to join this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could change everything. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Every click counts. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. We want to hear your thoughts. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. It's the moment to show your support and join our community of true fans.